7 steps that you want the AI to know in your prompt running on my machine, and it is separate. It is in a Faraday cage. Whatever's in here stays in here and doesn't go anywhere.
Hey, it's Ronsley. Welcome, you AI geek, to Amplify AI.
I've got a prompting framework, the 7 steps. And the 7 steps is basically the idea of how you can delegate like an entrepreneur. Now, the biggest jump that any business owner goes is from a solopreneur to an entrepreneur. Going from a solopreneur to an entrepreneur, you have team, and with team comes recruitment and operations and culture and process and all these other elements that come as part of it. But what happens is in that jump going from solopreneur to entrepreneur, we learn to delegate, but sometimes most times we don't delegate properly because we have the value alignment problem. We can't fully express exactly what we want our person to do because it's in our head and we think that they should have all this information that we already have. So use this framework to delegate, and this framework you can use to delegate to AI, like you could use this to delegate to another human being. All right. So there are the 7 steps that you want the AI to know in your prompt. Okay. The first thing you want it to know is the result. What's the goal that you're trying to achieve? Okay. The second is, what is the essential pieces of information? Now, if you were giving that task to a person, what information does that person need to execute on the prompt? And do they know how to complete the task? All right. So that's the essential piece of information. So the first thing you need is the goal. The second is the essential information that you need to complete the goal. And the third is, what is the final representation of the output look like? What is that supposed to look like? So if you only have those 3, your prompt is going to be better than most prompts out there. Okay. Now, if you add the next 4 elements, it's going to be even better. If you wanted AI to act as a person, what would that entity be? If you say, write an email, you'd want the entity to be your assistant, as an example. If you were writing a marketing plan, you want the entity to be a marketing manager. So give it more context and it will improve the prompt. So character, the next thing is approach. So if you already know what approach or what process you want AI to take, then say that. I want you to do this first and then do this next and then do that afterwards. That will improve your prompt even further. Then you say, well, now that you have all these essential pieces of information, I think you can make it even more relevant because this is the kind of person I'm talking to and this is what they care about. So then you're refining it and giving it even more context. And then finally, you're saying, well, the output is for this person. So if you have all these 7 elements in your prompt, you will get exactly what you want out of AI. So if you prompt AI in this manner, you will get exactly what you're after from AI. I'll give you an example. This is what I'm after is a template for, podcast guests that are coming onto my podcast. So I'll read this out. Act like my personal assistant and write me a template email for my podcast guests, informing them about the episode going live. The essential pieces of information is, this is the episode number, this is the date it gets released, these are the topics it covered, and here's where you can find the assets. Okay, that's essential. The approach I want you to take is, I want you to first highlight their genius, thank them, mention something unique about the episode, and then ask them to share it. In the tailoring, I want you to be memorable when you're creating this template, and I want the template to create conversation. The output should be in Ronsley's voice style, and the recipient is a podcast guest that has appeared on the show. So you see how, instead of me just saying, write me an email template, this has get so much more context and it will give me exactly what I want. And it won't even take a minute to fill out if you were doing this. But once you get used to it, you can just write the prompt on the go. You get good at it.
I know there are so many different platforms. When you went about that particular task, have you been using ChatGPT or Claude.ai? Or do you have any preferences or any suggestions on different platforms to use for what kinds of tasks?
So far, so what's going to happen is different models are going to evolve differently. What's happening right now is everyone's using ChatGPT. So what is happening is any output from or most outputs from ChatGPT are being labeled as AI output. And everyone can read it and go, oh, that's AI, but it's actually ChatGPT output. So even if you use Claude for writing marketing material, people won't even know the difference because it's like such a different way of writing because it's a different model. So I find Claude and Gemini really useful for writing marketing material. Let me show you an example. So this is Claude, all right? Now inside Claude, I have different projects, but I have this Amplify AI version 2 project in here. In here, I have put for my audiences, my custom instructions, rules for writing LinkedIn posts, and some examples of posts that I've worked before. Okay, let me show you how long it took me to write show notes yesterday. So I literally took the transcript of the edited show notes, of the edited podcast, and I put that in and I said, take the time to read this transcript. Because I have trained it and it knows exactly how to write in my voice, it took that, wrote the title, and then wrote the description in my voice. Hey, AI geeks, it's Ronsley. Ever written what you thought was a decent prompt only to get useless response? Today, I'm sharing how one simple line turns mediocre prompts into gold. And the best part, you probably already know the information AI needs. You're just not telling it properly. So it's actually written that in my voice and better than I could have said it myself. And then wrote the whole description. And this took less than 30 seconds. So these posts are quite easy to write now. I'll show you another one that I wrote.
One thing on one of your webinars, I seem to remember you saying that obviously we keep talking about ChatGPT and Claude, but there is a plethora of AI that specializes in, hey, if you want a LinkedIn bio, use this AI. If you're looking to revise an old article to sound new, use this AI.
Yeah. So once you go to ChatGPT, that's what what James is talking about is if you go to ChatGPT, on the left-hand side here, there is Explore GPTs down the bottom. And if you click on that, you get a whole bunch of different, very specific GPTs AIs that do very specific functions. For example, this one that sort of is an AI humanizer. Now, it's a good one because it's a decent one, at least because there's so many conversations and it's over 4 stars and there's over 1,000 ratings and it's number 2 in writing. So you can see how people are using it, for copy. This one is for productivity. There's different ones this was really useful for me when I was writing my book to find different things that work, like Consensus does research papers. So it goes and does all the literature review research papers and gives you a bunch of research papers instead of you going to the library and finding them. Video summarizer, you just put in the YouTube link and it'll summarize the video for you. So there's all these different ones that in here, if you can just type LinkedIn and then it'll find you profile writers. So there's different tools that can be used already that are in here. This is what James was talking about. It's like the biggest problem right now is there's so many tools, you don't even know what to use. That's why you got to go the other way. Where do you need help? And then look for the tool for that rather than find the tool and see if it fits into your process. I'm just yeah, please go.
I ask you a quick question. So something that is like top of mind for my team, we're all remote and I'm updating my website and, not everybody has the headshot they like. And then they're like, can't AI make me a headshot? And I'm like, I think, but I don't know. I'll ask Ronsley.
Yeah, there are a few. I think Flux.ai is probably one that does.
Okay.
Yeah, but I will get you some names. There are ones that keep improving, and I know that our video team uses some of them. So I'm just going to ask them which ones they use.
Okay.
And I'll get back to you.
Thank you.
What about secured information? I know if you're just out there on ChatGPT without a pro, it just goes out into the wild. But if you do pro, you might be behind the firewall. If you're trying to look for all these different ones, just like Netflix and Hulu and Paramount Plus, all of a sudden you've got 80 subscriptions that you don't know what to do with and how to manage. How do you worry about secured, look into AI?
So what's the information that you're trying to secure, Jeff?
Well, I mean, I'm not too worried about marketing type stuff or my personal brand and things like that. But if I do get into business intelligence, in other words, if I want to take anything proprietary to my company, financials or our secret sauce or anything like that, but I want to write it into a presentation and not have it be out into the world, how do I do that?
So it's super hard. So there's a big difference between information and intelligence. And it's extremely hard if you use, in whatever way, inside ChatGPT, for example, you say, this is our secret source. Can you help me do X, Y, Z? It is super difficult for anyone, including ChatGPT, to go back and find that information unless you keep using that to train the model. Now, what I mean by that is there are some of them that are already out in the universe. For example, my method is already in the book, right? So it's already kind of published. The different methods, frameworks that already exist, like the SWOT analysis, everyone knows how to implement a SWOT analysis. But your method is so unique to you that someone has to recall that so many times for that to actually become a thing. I don't think anyone can retrieve that information easily, is the first thing I'm going to say, unless it is client information. Now, what you don't want to do is say Ronsley Vaz that lives here with this mobile number and this email address. So that data you want to avoid putting into ChatGPT, because then that is personal information of people that you don't want to put in there. But your stuff, in terms of this is how we do things, is super difficult to retrieve. Okay. But if you really want to be specific, then you would use the API. And so the API for ChatGPT or any of the AIs do not train the model, so that whatever you're using, that information, it doesn't go to train the model. Okay. So you're going to use it separately from the actual interface for you to actually do that the way you want to do it.
I have a question. If that answers your question, Jeff. Hi, Ronsley. If we missed this, but I was wondering, my ChatGPT upgraded to the like $200 subscription. Do you think I could possibly be doing anything that actually needs that?
Oh yeah, I mean, Sora is like super valuable if you can start to create some videos. Let me just share screen again.
What if we're not doing video?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a lot that depends on how much you're actually using it right now. How much are you using it, Avery?
I use it all the time. I talk to it at night before bed.
It's cheaper than a husband.
I sit and chat with it at night.
She has a very nice husband.
I do.
I think $200 is for me is like a no-brainer. If you're using it all the time, it's $200 is nothing, right? So I don't think.
Okay.
But I do think that you should play with Sora. Just imagine these videos would have to, how much you have to do to actually get them filmed.
Yeah.
Like 2 months ago, this was not even possible.
How do you make these, like, you can tell it to make you a video?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just a dope. I'm sorry. Like, this is.
Yeah. Sora,
I'm like, that looks really cool.
Yeah, Sora.com. And you can even go through them and see what prompts have been used. So if you go here and you click on that, it'll say, okay, here is the prompt that's used.
Okay.
So then you can just take this prompt and then edit it to how you want it to look.
Cool.
Yeah. And then there's some ridiculously cool ones in here.
I always wonder what happens if you put in a prompt that is completely unrealistic.
Give me an example.
Can you make a video that makes accounting cool?
If you define what cool is, it'll do that. So define what you mean by cool and say, this is what I mean by cool. So
like for me, yeah, like, so Will, like I would do something like make accounting look sexy and appealing to women creatives, right?
even sexy,
Like get
even,
real specific like that.
even more specific. What does sexy and appealing mean?
Make accounting, right? Make a woman feel empowered as fuck, right? Like something.
What does the empowered look like? Women would feel like they have control over their finances. Like, what does that look like?
Right. Even describe that even further.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. More context, better. Context is everything. I've got a few more slides that I want to cover, if that's cool.
That's cool. Go ahead.
Am I on?
You're on.
Oh,
My mom has a question.
Ronsley.
Yeah. Hey.
How are you?
Amazing. How are you?
Good. If I put stuff in there that is like proprietary, does it get stolen?
No, it's like, it's not search. So it's not like once it's there, someone can search for it and find it. It's a neural network. It's not, this information is stored here that I can easily retrieve it. That's not what happens.
Okay, thank you.
But does it get used for training data?
So in general, the rule that I have is if it is proprietary and you're worried about sharing it, don't share it. The other way to do it is, this is Llama 3.2 running on my machine, and it is separate. It is like this, it is in a Faraday cage. Whatever's in here stays in here and doesn't go anywhere. But it's just text-based at this point. I can have a UI, but it's not as powerful as some of the models that are out there. So I would use an internal model like this if you're worried about proprietary stuff that doesn't go anywhere. Then this stays on your computer in here and doesn't go anywhere. And by the way, this you can use on a plane without internet as well. So this is intelligence on your laptop that you don't need any ChatGPT account or Claude account or you don't have to pay for anything on this, right? And you can still say, write me an article on penguins, and it'll still do what a ChatGPT would do, but on your laptop, okay? While that's writing. What I'd love to show you is Gary's book, Day Trading Attention, has got this flow chart. It is how you create cohorts and then strategic organic content, depending on your platforms and pack and how you amplify that and how you make it better. So based on that, if you use I am X who helps Y achieve Z, in your slide deck that you have access, you'll see training notes. If you click on training notes, you'll open a link that will show you the exact method that I did for the first crew and the video and how to use the cohorts. So you start with I am X who helps Y achieve Z, and then you run this first prompt, and it'll give you your audience, and then you use a persona, and then you run this prompt, and it'll give you your whole cohorts, all the cohorts that you need for day trading attention. So what would have normally taken you, I don't know, a few hours to read the book, a few more hours to understand it and apply it to your business, now in about 3 or 4 minutes, you have the whole thing applied, just following these steps. And you can take it one step further, and inside Amplify AI's, I'm going to give you access to this as well. This will just ask you 7 questions. You don't even have to do the prompts. So it'll just ask you 7 questions, like what industry are you in? What's the target audience? What's your business goals? And it'll create your whole strategy. This is one that's done earlier, and it just kind of made the whole thing. So it creates the cohorts, it does, and then you can go on and sort of improve from here. But what I'm trying to get at is you can take something that already works, that takes a long time to implement, and you can simplify it to take minutes. So something that would normally have taken weeks or days to implement can be done really, really quickly. you'll have access to this deck. So I would encourage you to go through it. In here, if you also click on this link here about learning anything at speed, it shows you how I've created an AI that will actually teach you anything. So you can say, I want to learn how to sell on a webinar in the next 20 minutes, or I want to learn to run 5Ks in the next 3 months. It doesn't matter what it is. It'll take it and break it down and give you the exact steps for you to execute.
This is amazing. Thank you, Ronsley. The fact that you embed all of the decks with additional information. I mean, this was clearly a lot for us to take in, but I think everybody got some, practical ideas, but it'll be good to, kind of encourage everyone as homework to go and figure out like what are the kinds of things that you're looking to solve for. And, we'd love to, bring everybody back together and hear a little bit more about what are they learning, where are they stuck, that kind of thing. And Ronsley's he's great because he's an entrepreneur and he understands exactly what he was talking about, moving from solopreneur to, kind of expanding out and bringing teams in. He's an expert at helping people to figure out how people can bring AI into their all their operating procedures and things. So please feel free to, to reach out to him. As a Vive alumni, thank you, Ronsley.
Of course, you're welcome.
Thank you, Ronsley. You're amazing.
Thank you.
We appreciate your staying up so late. Our love to the fam.
I will. Thank you.
Hey, AI Geek. Thanks for listening. Your job doesn't stop here. I want you to lend your voice to the conversation. So you can join those conversations, discussions, new trainings, new recordings, and the rest of the AI Geeks by going to amplifyais.com. Also, share this podcast with a friend, another potential AI geek. Until then, much love.